Hi, I'm John and welcome back to my Lair of Action Figures, where I'll be talking and reviewing action figures from different manufacturers. Today I'm going to be having a look at another G.I. Joe classified vehicle. So of course this is the Cobra Stinger with the driver. Of course this is a figure that came out in 2024, so let's take advantage of doing it. This Cobra Night Attack Vehicle, or Stinger, because if you're used to it from the 1984 line, this is how you're going to call. So it is number 120 in the G.I. Joe classified line. We're going to give it a little spin so you can see the one I have over here, who's the one who's out of box. This is one of the boxes I have to open, and on top we have the 25th anniversary line of the vehicle. Now I do not have the original. I know I have it somewhere in the storage. I do not have it mint in box. Due to personal choices, I didn't want to go with mint in box vehicles. I had so many stuff that I had and didn't have the room for it, so I had to decide which would be the best way to do it. Do I continue keeping the mint in box figures, the loose, the mint in box vehicle? So I decided to get rid of some of my mint in box collection at the time. So that's why I thought I do not have it. I will maybe do a review of it when I find it and do a comparison with the 25th anniversary. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to it. As I said, this is 120 in the G.I. Joe line. The suggested retail price for this figure was $99.99 in the US and €124.99. Now this vehicle, I believe, is sold out on Hasbro Pulse, but this was a general release. I will be getting into more details about it when I'm going to be doing the review of it. So let's give this a finished spin and let's dive into opening the box and having a look how good everything is, talking about the history a bit about this and having a lot more to say about it. So let's take a bit history about this vehicle. Now the original vehicle came out in 1984. It was commercialized for about 2 years, then retired. Then we got a few other versions that were done, and of course the one who's the most interesting, that is the one who's spinning currently right now, is the one for the 25th anniversary line. Personally, I do like what they did with the 25th anniversary line. So this one, of course, came out in 2009. So this is a very interesting vehicle that is just a redone of the G.I. Joe Vamp with a bit of a different look to it, with some doors, and you also have the hood here, and instead of having a machine gun behind, you have some rockets. So we're just going to have a quick look. I'll be opening this one because this is a box that I have who's left over some of the figures that I did not have time to open. This is a bit of a problem with the 25th anniversary line, having this bubble plastic stuff. Same problem with the Action Force stuff. It has a tendency of breaking. This is why for the original one who came out in 1984 was a lot easier to keep mint in box, due to the fact that it was only cardboard box, like the one they did for the classified line. So without any further ado, let's jump into what we get in the box. Of course, we get a little manual for our Stinger Jeep with the explanation where the bits and pieces go and how to gear up your Cobra Trooper. Of course, we have this little box over here that is going to be giving us some of the little accessories that they decided to give with us, who is the same ones that were given with our friend, what's his name already, Scrap Iron in the line. Of course, you get a little legally thing that you do not really care about. The back of the vamp, of course, we get the Cobra driver over here. We do get some extra parts. Let's take it out. The missile launcher. This is going to be a bit harder to take out like this. So let's see. Let's take this out here, as you can see. So here we get a whole bunch of weapons, the different parts for the driver and some of the extra parts for it. Over here we have a small box. Let's open it. Oops, okay. So these are the Stinger missiles that are with the Jeep by 4, as you can see. And of course we're going to be removing out of the box. Of course, really well protected. Must be celebrated on the fact of doing something really properly by giving us some nice packaging and being able to really protect well. And afterwards over here we have the 4 wheels. So let's build up this little vehicle and let's get into what I think about this item and do I think it's a collectible item. So here is our vehicle. Let's start by dismantling it. I'm going to put everything into place. So I'm going to be removing the plastic over here. Sorry for the noise. It's going to know. I know this is this kind of noise that some people don't like and it gives them chicken skin. As you can see, the vehicle itself is a pretty nice detail. I mean, if you already have the G.I. Joe vamp, you will know the details on it. As you can see, you have the doors that open and you have some pretty good details with a movable gearbox. We have the window that comes down. Of course, we can open it. So let's have a look over here. Let's see if we can see. No, it's going to be hard to see over here. But as you can see, there's some details in the vehicle itself with the little dashboard. So, I mean, it is exactly similar to the one that we got with the vamp. So you can go and check out the review. Of course, we also have the hood that opens up. As you can see, not much detail, but it's still nice to have an engine. Afterwards, for the people who have a bit of time and know how to do it, you could custom put some wires, give in some other kind of possibility to weather it. It does kind of look like a pretty huge engine. And now that we can see, we also have the hook over here that comes out. Now, personally, I find it always a bit weird that we don't have somewhere to hook this up in a better way than just leaving it hanging down over here. So let's bring this back in over here. And this would be nice if we would have a place to put it. Afterwards, can we maybe lock it over here? There's always a possibility to do it. Then we have also these little hooks over here that come down. So, I mean, yeah, really looks good. And as you can see, there's some little accessories that hook on. And we're going to be building this one up. So, of course, we just need to take the wheels, put the wheels in. The truck clips in very simply. As you can see over here, let me take the ones over here. And let's do this and put it up. Really simple. As you can see, not much goes into the fact of building it up. Now, of course, we have the rocket launcher. As you can see, pretty basic, simple hook on the back, and you slide it in over here very easily. Of course, you have the suspensions. You can go and check out the review of the Vamp. I'll be doing a comparative between the Vamp and the Stinger and giving you my opinion which one is a bit more interesting. So, of course, this part comes on the way over here. So let's clip this in over here. Pretty simple, as you can see. Fits in pretty neatly and doesn't have a tendency of moving. Now let's open this box over here where we do have some of the extra gear for our driver. Not only that, we have the extra parts for the Jeep over here. Now we have the engine part. We do have the shovel over here. And we do have also the front part that goes on the bumper. As you can see over here, we have the different accessories, the Cobra helmet. Of course, this backpack was already used with the Cobra Officer, and it's mostly what you get with the Cobra Officer over here, minus the little light on the side of the Kalashnikov. It's not given in this figure over here. And of course, we have the roof with a little detail. If you can see over here, there's a bit of a difference. Let's see. And the paint job over here. So yeah, that looks pretty neat. Of course, we have the explosions. We'll be getting into the explosions a bit later on. But let's go into putting up the rest of the stuff on this vehicle. Now, the shovel does feel a little bit oversized, if we can say like that. So, of course, you can clip it in. I'm going to turn it over because it's not the way it goes. Let's put it in. And bring it down over here. Now, of course, we have this little part with the little explanations that comes over here. Really simple. Just clips it in and everything fits in, and then we put on the roof pretty easily also, as you can see. Whoops. This strip comes in over here, clips it in, and everything is done. As you can see, this is really not much of a hassle. Then we have the front part who comes over here, who's also something that clips in with no problems at all. Let's see, and get it in. Of course, that's what happens when you don't want it, doesn't go the way you want. So of course you have it over here. Now this is a way you can put it, but I think the normal way of putting it, this comes on over here in this kind of way. If I'm not mistaken, let's take the manual to get the confirmation, but I do think this is the way it goes on, and yes, this is exactly the way it goes on. As you can see, it's pointed over there. Now of course we're going to be taking the missiles and we're going to be building them up, as you can see, like the original one with the X04 on it. So of course what you want to do, if you have it, you would want to expose the missiles on this kind of way. Let's see, this is the right way. Yep, I think, no, sorry, wrong way around. So I'm going to be, oops. So this is something that's always a bit special with this vehicle over here. Let's put this in over here. As you can see, due to the fact that you don't have stickers on both sides, it is maybe better that you decide to put all the missiles on the same side. I'm going to remove it. Sadly, this thing really has a tendency of popping out very easily. So as you can see, here you have it with the missiles. Of course, we're going to be also having a closer look at these little packs over here. So these are these transparent little explosions that you have over here. These are the ones that, if you watch my review of our friend Scrap Iron, these are exactly the same little blast parts that we have over here. There's also some interesting idea also for using some more of these blast actions. Now, let's have a look. We have these little ones over here that we're going to be taking a closer look at. This is the way it gives. It's a nice little detail to have. Do I think that this is justified to come with it? Well, yes and no. And then afterwards, if you want to give your missiles a kind of a flying off position, you can just put these in over here. And of course, this is going to give some extra weight. As you can see, they fit in pretty neatly over here. So yeah, it looks not too bad. It's an interesting fact of getting it. It does feel a bit weird that these missiles are going back from over here and you cannot hook them. There's no way of hooking them. So that's something who's strange. Anyway, let's see how our pilot looks, and then we're going to be looking at that, and I'm going to give. Now, of course, we're going to be having a look at the Cobra soldier over here, who is a bit of, it's more like a Cobra officer that they did. Of course, like I said, the rifles come out. Let's remove the little magazines over here. I do miss the time when these things were not put in this kind of plastic wrapping. This is something that they could have done without. So let's remove it. This is garbage, don't need this. Afterwards we have the little dagger that comes out, and let's remove our figure over here. As you can see, the figure itself is pretty neat. Now, I was a bit surprised they went with an Afro-American version of the driver. No second head, who's a bit weird if you want to army build this figure. As you can see, you have the little logo for the Stinger on the side, little badge. This one first came out with the Cobra Island version of the figure and was also with the regular Cobra officer. So yeah, it is just a Cobra officer repainted in grey, same gear belt, same little knife, everything is really the same. So let's gear this guy up, And let's put the pistol in over here. So yeah, I must say that the figure itself is a pretty neat figure. I do regret highly that we're not getting the double head sculpt, because I really think that we could have gotten an extra Caucasian head sculpt. Of course, we have the Kalashnikov who goes in over here. Let's put it on the back. That's where it goes. Then we should put the little charger in the back over here. And this goes fitting in here. Let's see if we can get it in without doing too much drama. Okay, yep. Here we go. Ammo pouch, like I said, there's this missing part. I don't understand why Hasbro did not include it. It seems really ridiculous not wanting to include it. And of course, we have our little submachine gun. Let's put this in over here. As you see, everything here has already been used and already been given. Then we have the little fire extinguisher. The fire extinguisher comes on the behind of the vehicle. As you can see here, you have a little hook, and then the only thing you need to do is just hook it in, squeeze it in, and there we are. You have everything done over here. And let's remove these, because like I said, it's really a bit of a shame that you do not have a possibility to make them go in a better way, to hook them up like they're flying off and not just standing there. So let's give it a spin so you can have a look at this vehicle under all its different angles, and I'm going to be giving you my final thoughts and do I think this is a collectible item. Now let's start by the collectible part about this vehicle. Do I believe it is a collectible item? Well, my answer is no. I can understand that this may seem weird as an answer due to the fact that the Vamp was a more highly praised and collectible item. This one, I do not believe it. The reason why I don't believe it, it's because this was a general release in the US. So if you live in the US or in Canada, you could purchase it from any kind of store. So this makes it a bit less harder to find than if you were looking for the Vamp, where you had to go through Hasbro Pulse. This one is not sold out on Hasbro Pulse Europe. It was a bit of a surprise because, let's be honest, I picked up a few from Entertainment Earth distribution line, and I picked up 6 of them. So one I kept in mint in box, and the other ones are to take out. Personally, I thought that these will not be going in clearance, and I've been checking on Entertainment Earth distribution line, and they have already been put lower down, and I could have saved a lot of money if I would have waited a bit longer to purchase these. But again, this is the game. You don't know if those prices are going to go up or down with it. So these prices were already put in clearance for this item. So I cannot remember if Amazon did any sales on this one, or did Walmart or any other shop in the US put these in clearance or brought them down from $99.99 to lower, I think maybe $80. I think they were on Entertainment Earth. So this kind of puts you in a situation where this is why I don't believe it's a collectible item. Now, the other thing that might be interesting, I would be kind of curious to see if Hasbro decides to go on a retro line version of this vehicle, because I will not put anything past these guys trying to sell you something with a different box. I mean, they do it with the Marvel Legends, they do it with the Star Wars Black Series, and they're also doing it with the G.I. Joe, because we do have, even if there's a little bit of difference between the retro line, but they're not 100% retro. You will understand that when I will be doing the reviews of the Cobra Troopers. That's a little spoiler. But this is the reason why I do not believe that this one has a high-end collectible value. It is still available and it's not selling that much. So that's a huge problem. Now that we've got the value and do I think this is a collectible item out of the way, let's talk about what are my final thoughts about this vehicle and what is it I'm going to give as a note out of 10. Now, surprisingly, I like the vehicle, but I'm going to tell you straight away, this vehicle, I'm going to give it a 7 to 6 out of 10. Now, this may come as a bit of a surprise because when we're talking about it, it looks good, there's plenty of cooler items about it, but I don't think it is such a great redone compared to the original version that we got back for the 2005 line, or even in the even for the original one. If you compare it to the original one, this one is not as good. Let's stop spinning this around so that you can understand. So let's put this over here. We have the Stinger. So of course you can say, well, it does look a lot alike. Now I have some of the issues that I have is over here. Over here you have a handlebar behind over here, as you can see. Now this handlebar is nowhere featured on this vehicle. So you can put your guys, but they are hanging to nothing. There's nothing for them to hold on. And that makes more sense to have something behind. So that is something that I think is cruelly missing on it. The fact of getting these extra missiles like this, these parts were already used, but don't look like they're really firing. It looks like they're stuck onto it. Doesn't make sense. There would have been logic to have a bit of a hole over here. So I really think that in a kind of way, this vehicle could have been better, and they could have done something a lot more interesting. And the fact that this guy doesn't come with an interchangeable head for a vehicle who should be a mass army builder does not make any sense at all. So this is why I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. So that will be my final note for this vehicle. So that's going to be it for the review of the Cobra Stinger Classified series line. If you like this kind of review, please leave a like, share, comment in the section. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comment section. Or you can contact me through Instagram or Facebook. The links are in the description. You want to go and see some of the pictures I've done outside or in situations, go and check it out. All of those things are also on Facebook and Instagram. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!